damit geht es auch direkt weiter zu unserer nächsten Session. Nicht wundern, ich switche jetzt auch aufs Englische, denn unsere nächste Session ist auf Englisch. So for our next session, I would like to welcome our speaker, Ofa Habushi, who is the Center of Excellence and Innovation and Solution Engineer Manager for Talent. And his session is about the modern data ecosystem, how teams collaborate to unleash their data. So without further ado, I would like to introduce him to you, and he should be with us shortly in a second. So I can see two of him, so I hope one of the right ones will be with us in a second. Yeah, I think we should be able to hear him.
Hi, hello, yes.
Yes, perfect. Hello.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes.
I also see two of myself, which is
yeah. Well, I think now that I have the right one, I can just delete the other one.
Okay, no worries.
And yeah, I think that should be better. So
okay.
Yeah, perfect. We can see the presentation on full screen, so you're ready to go.
Yeah, and let me first apologize for switching the language on everybody.
No worries.
So I know it's would have been better in German, but that's the way it's going to be. So yeah, as you introduced me, thank you very much, Robin. I'm Ofa Habushi. I've been working for Talent for the past almost 7 years. I do live in Germany, and I do understand and speak some German. Not enough for today, I'm afraid. I'll have to continue in English. Yeah, so before we really begin, I would like to tell you a story because a few months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine that also works with data and within a data company, within another business, but has to run a lot of data and derive insight from data, works within an IT team and so on. And we've been talking on and on because we are close friends. We always talk about what Talent is doing and things like that and what he's doing. And he told me, you know what? It's 2021 and I already get your cloud pitch. You're always talking about cloud, and I get it. I get the benefits of the cloud, right? We already use cloud. It's perfectly understandable that we can lower the maintenance cost by using cloud instances instead of our own constantly running VMs. So we get the flexibility to run whatever we want, what we want, and we can manage that. We operate a lot more like a startup now because we don't have to go to provision VMs or getting instances and do all the bureaucracy. We can spin up and spin down quickly. So we have quicker project starts, faster time to market. And we also know that it's actually better for security because we get automatic upgrades. We don't have to think about security as much as we did in the past because we know that AWS and Azure and Google, they have to consider security to be compliant on their side. So the updates and the upgrades are constantly happening to provide patches for any security breaches that may happen. So even on that sense, we've been doing better, I would say. And also for disaster recovery and failover, that's a given. That's part of their SLA. That's part of what those cloud vendors do. And outside of the typical benefits of the cloud, there are also the benefits of serverless, right? Serverless technology, the ability to focus only on the functional thing that you're trying to achieve without too many configurations, without too many sizing up and scaling down and scaling up in advance, where you know that you're going to get the right amount of resources without knowing in advance what those resources are. That's perfect for us. And it's actually saving money because we know that when we finish our work, the environment is going to spin back down and it's going to save money when it's idle. So all these things are perfect for us. But actually the team is not happy. All this wonderful technology and we're still not making a lot of progress. We still feel like we live in total enterprise chaos. And I asked him, that sounds pretty bad. Why do you feel that is? And he says, technology has changed, but the organization did not, right? So I didn't understand what that sentence meant. So I said, okay, let me explain to you. I'll give you some examples. We have a fairly new data science team. And we have this very capable data scientist, and she's really into all the statistical models and all the latest technology, and likes to work with Python. She likes to use neural networks and do natural language processing. And she's really the cutting edge of machine learning and AI. What she wants to do is build accurate machine learning models to provide us business insight, but actually what she spends 80% of the time is looking and finding the data sets that she needs, cleaning, reorganizing huge amounts of data. And almost no time is left for actually doing the part that she's hired for, which is obviously completely irrelevant for a role and very frustrating for everybody. At the same time, we have a data engineer, and that data engineer is very technical and really is very skilled with technology. All she does is talk about Kafka, Parquet, Kubernetes. She wants to create and build repeatable, durable data pipelines to integrate and provide data quality, right? But 80% of the times, 80% of her time is spent on meetings, exchanges of decks with line of business users, getting on calls with everybody, trying to satisfy all their needs, answering so many requests from the business, absolutely overwhelmed with requirements. And of course, as a result, not so very happy. And even when I talk with the line of business users, with the analysts, they talk about KPIs and the business needs. They want to provide insights for stakeholders. But what they do 80% of the time is, again, and you get the pattern, they're analyzing and documenting requirements. They are in back and forth with IT. They are trying to get the right data that they need. They're trying to get the right reports that they need. They have issues with data quality all the time. So again, technology changed, but the organization is seeing the exact same problems. So a typical scenario for us is that we have this wonderful data lake. And we created, our data engineering team has created a wonderful data lake, and they are talking about all the latest technology, or maybe not so latest anymore, but Kafka and Avro and Parquet and cloud storage. And we use Spark, and we have this wonderful pipeline and a data lake inside. Everything is well organized. But then comes the business analyst team, and it's not their fault. They don't know too much about Kafka and Avro. They don't speak that same language. It's not what they do. But they are, saying to our data engineering team, to our IT team, we need more data. We need a specific report, but we don't understand data lakes. Can you send us over to us with a spreadsheet? And you realize how frustrating that is for everybody when you have to do things like that ad hoc and generating spreadsheet in the world when you're trying to work with the latest technology. And then they say, you know what, we also have a data steward, and he also needs to see the data. So maybe you can take that spreadsheet and send it over to him again, and then process his inputs and put it back in whatever you're doing there, a data lake or whatever it is. And we have maybe a little bit more technical line of business team that has their own kind of shadow IT thing. They're using a MySQL database, and they have a dashboard in front of it. And they also need data. So they're saying, can you populate some of those data items that we need and put it on our data mart, because we don't have access to your data lake and we don't really know how to use it. So we need it ported over again. On the other side, we have a data scientist team. And again, they are doing wonderful things. One of them has done recently a lot of work with Python and some scripts, and a lot of things with social media and analyzing trends in Salesforce. And they've derived a lot of insight from that. However, that person left the company, and now we lost all the scripts, and they're struggling now to figure out what happened there. And nobody really has an idea how to recreate that work, so to speak. And the last part of it is the team that operates SAP, which we really have difficulties integrating them into our pipeline. And that's what he told me. And as you can maybe imagine, this is an imaginary story and an imaginary friend that I made up. It does not exist, but I think you can find a lot of patterns here that may remind you of your organization. Maybe you are lucky, maybe you're already better than this, or maybe it exactly describes what you're feeling at your work. But this is definitely what we're seeing at Talent. A lot of our prospects and our customers are struggling with that, and we like to call it data chaos. It's the time of it's the point in time that everybody realizes that they need to work with data. They need to derive insights from their data, but they're running into the wall with problems with data chaos, being that the data is limited, confusing, outdated, inaccurate, and unreliable. And here we are trying to support our customers with providing trust to your data and turning that data chaos into something that you can work with. Limited data chaos, we like to call it the 5 T's, that's kind of a marketing, nice marketing terms for it. Limited data that turns into thorough data, clean and complete. And confusing data needs to turn into transparent, trusted data that is accessible, understandable. So for example, if a marketer wants to measure the performance of a campaign, but cannot get or understand the click metrics, then they will be lost. So it has to be accessible and understandable. From outdated to timely, trusted data that is ready and available when you need it. Think about COVID-19, right? So when making a decision like when to open schools in this time of COVID, the most recent data needs to be considered. You cannot work and make actions according to data that is 2 or 3 months old. From inaccurate data to traceable data. So trusted data tells you where it came from and how it has been used. So for example, in financial services, they need to submit reports for regulators. They need a full view of where the data came from, who has seen it, and how it has been transformed, right? So that's one of the things you have to get in order. And lastly, from unreliable data to tested data, trusted data that has been rated and certified by other users. So, collaborating with those people inside the organization. Every single organization that wants to be data-driven needs to understand how their people use and rate data. This is where the data and business teams come together and work as a team to create meaningful impact. So let's discuss how Talent Data Fabric can help you achieve all this in a bit more detail. But let's start from the side of the business outcome that we want to achieve. So these are the 4 outcomes that we have carved out that everybody is trying to be achieving. First of all, transforming the customer experience, engaging with customers in a more personal way, make them more enthusiastic and loyal over time. The second one is to increase operational efficiencies, not only to do things better, but do them at a lower cost, share information more effectively with your employees, your partners, and your customers for better results. The third one is, of course, compliance. You want to reduce the risk, ensure compliance with data privacy regulations, to reduce risk by making decisions based on better data. And the third one, as we said before, you want to be more like a startup. I mean, not completely wild like a startup, but also not very slow like a very slow enterprise. You want to innovate faster, bring new products to the market faster, improve how you run your business, right? Now, achieving all of this requires turning raw data from the various data sources and data silos into complete and trusted data, delivered to all the users that need it on time, so that you can foster insight and build experience to fuel your business. Now, Talent Data Fabric does exactly this. It provides a unified cloud-native platform to customers to collect, govern, transform, and share data in the most effective way. Connect data from any source or destination and run it in any environment, on-prem, hybrid, or multi-cloud, and empower all your users with self-service applications, from data engineers, business analysts, and citizen integrators, because those users, as we said before, have different needs and different technical skills. They cannot all be using the same view and the same way to work with data. So discover, and we help with discovering and capturing all relevant data with over 1,000 built-in connectors. Ensure proper categorization and documentation with profiling, pattern recognition, and quality assessment. Integrate data easily from any source to any location, whether on-prem or cloud services such as Snowflake or AWS. So no matter what it is your use case, no matter what is your use case, whether you are migrating to a cloud data warehouse, improving business analytics, make your business ops more effective, or ensuring compliances, we're helping you make it easier to get it with complete, trusted, and timely data. Now, again, going back to those 4 business outcomes that I was describing earlier, we have a few customer examples of customers that have been working for Talent in the past few years and achieved some result doing that. First one, again, was to transform the customer experience. So create a personalized customer experience based on real-time data from all the system your business depends on. A core stores all their data in an AWS data lake connected to a Snowflake data warehouse via Talent. They manage data from 50 million customers, 300 gigabytes per day. They increase customer satisfaction by for elite customers by 12%, and sped up ability to access personal data from 30 days to just 5 days. The second business outcome is to increase operational efficiency. And so not only do things better, but do them at a lower cost. Remove operational challenges and cost barriers that inhibit organizations from embarking on new projects that can truly impact business. Share information more effectively with your employees, your partners, and your customers for better results. And AstraZeneca, which is a company that everybody's been talking about in the last few months, AstraZeneca decided to build a data lake to hold their data from a wide range of source systems. Cloud was a very important aspect of these of their architecture, providing scalability and flexibility for them to do what they needed to do. AstraZeneca made a strategic decision to adopt AWS as a primary cloud vendor and chose Talent for its AWS connectivity, flexibility, and also the licensing model. They also value the ability to scale rapidly without incurring a cost from AWS or Talent. So we were talking before on those wonderful benefits that one can have when adopting the public cloud and a serverless technology. With Talent, they enabled 90% of their data to be ready for analysis within 3 minutes. Shortened planning cycles from 15 days down to 3 hours, and achieve $1 billion per year saving with faster clinical trials. You can imagine that, I mean, let's not give all the credit for the COVID vaccine to Talent or to AWS here, but it did not hurt to have the right technology to do it. reducing risk, which is the third one. We're talking about compliance here. Meet tough compliance and privacy standards, reduce risk by making decisions and protecting your environment based on better data. Areba utilized a governed data lake, which provides a single source of truth for their anti-money laundering program. With Talend, they enabled a 500 gigabyte data lake with gigabytes of data ingested on a daily basis. And finally, as we said, innovate faster, be a bit more agile in your innovation and with your projects. Get rid of bottlenecks and data quality issues that slow down progress and get a higher level of agility and speed. Abin Bev consolidated, and look, this is really an amazing project because of the sheer amount of data silos that they had before. They consolidate Salesforce, 15 SAP instances, 27 ERP systems, 23 ETL tools, and host of brewers operating as independent entities with their own internal system, all of that into an Azure cloud data warehouse with Talend. They integrated 100 plus systems, reduced the number of ETL tools from 23 to 1, which is Talend, and shortened the development time for projects by 75%. 6 months to 6 weeks. That's how much you can be more efficient when you are doing things in the right way or in a better way. Sometimes just a little change can go that much further. So again, let's talk a little bit about this effort and what it takes. Where you have all of your different data silos, like the different customers that we just mentioned, and it takes a lot of work to collect, govern, transform, and share that data to the potential data consumers, both internally and externally to the organization, and make that available for them to derive insight. Gartner says it takes 60% of the time and cost to do that part in the middle of collecting, governing, transforming, and sharing the data. And again, at Talend, we see that this is not just the job or the responsibility of the IT. If you keep it that way, if IT is the only one who can do this operation in the middle, you will not be successful. This is a team sport where you have different personas with different capabilities that need to take part. Data engineers, integration specialists, data scientists, data stewards, citizen integrators, and analysts. They all have different technical skills, and they need to interact with the data in different points in order for the team to be successful. They're not all going to use the same skills, the same tools, because they just cannot, right? So we want to provide them the perspective of the data where they have a permission to see a specific data set and to contribute and work together as a team. So while considering all these different personas with the different technical skills, and while consider the different tasks that we have in the middle there, this is where we provide different perspectives, let's say tools, a perspective of the data that require different technical skills. So collecting the data, one may use Talend Data Loader, Stitch, Talend Pipeline Designer, or Talend Studio. When governing the data, you may use tools for data quality, data catalog, data inventory, data stewardship, or data preparation. Again, those will require you to have different technical skills because they will be probably for different personas. Not everybody is a Java developer or a Python developer. Some people like to work with spreadsheets. They need different perspectives of the data. Transforming the data. Here we'll have tools such as Pipeline Designer and Talend Studio and data preparation. And finally, when we're sharing the data, either we do it via data warehouse or a data mart, but also we will create API services for customers and external data consumers. And we will support you there with the ability to design, create, and test API services to make that data available. The key here is to have that common backbone of data sets that everybody who has the right permission can interact with the data, can see the data and feel the data and know what stands behind the data, how much that data has, what is the quality of the data. So for example, if I'm interacting with some customer or user base data set, I want to know if the data has been, what stands behind the data, where it comes from, and what are the key attributes in terms of data quality, and how much I can trust the data based on how much my colleagues can trust the data. And then I can maybe take it to the next step. Maybe I'll do some operations, change the data, move it to a better state, to a better quality, and then have the next person work on it. Some of the intelligence that we bring inside our products will help those things to come into place. For example, we will give you suggested assistance, automated discovery. We have built-in supervised machine learning, pattern detection, and automated data intelligence score. So when you interact with the data, you get a lot of recommendations out of the box, and you get a level of trust that you have in the data. Or maybe you see that this data set is not trustworthy and actually needs to be worked on. Now, if you're not familiar with data, we just had our 15th anniversary, and we have been always evolving as a company, always evolving, and that's what made us last this long and be successful this long. So Talend started as a data integration company in 2006 and evolved with time. In 2008, we started to look into things like data quality. 2013, we already adopted Hadoop and Spark later. So the ability to connect to the on-premise Hadoop clusters and later the cloud data stores and so on, and use Spark and Spark Spark streaming as a capability. A bit later that year in 2015, we were already running on AWS, or allowing connectivity to AWS. And then in 2017 to other cloud vendors such as Google Cloud and Azure. And the rest of the year in 2017, we have added the capability of API services to the product, more self-service cloud applications like data prep and data stewardship in 2018. Data catalog is a product that we added that year as well. Frictionless data ingestion with Talend data loader, which is also known as Stitch. And in 2019, we started running our infrastructure also on Azure. So now we provide the ability to manage all of our infrastructure as a managed service, both on AWS and on Azure. Last year, we've launched the trust score for your data inventory. So that ability to look at your data and say how much you can trust it out of the box by getting some key features of the quality of the data together with our data inventory, right? And we have over 750 customers worldwide. And again, we have been around 15 years, so that's not very surprising. A lot of them very big names. Here is a bit more focus on the different industries, including a bit more focus on the German market. So you see a lot of the German companies that we work with. This list is from last year, so there have been more additions recently of big names. And finally, we work with a lot of partners, both system integration, the system integrators, and also the technical alliances that we have with AWS, Microsoft, Google Cloud, Databricks, Snowflake, and so on. Now, if there is a takeaway that I would like you to have from our call today, is to think about those business outcomes that you are trying to achieve within your organization. Are you trying to come into the cutting edge and transform your customer experience to do a better job than maybe your competitors? Are you trying to do better on the operational costs, because this is where you can save a lot of money with operations. Are you trying to be compliant and do it in a more efficient way? Because compliance is always a nuisance for everybody, but it's something that it has to be done. Or are you in a phase that you want to innovate faster and come and discover more potential of your business, but doing it in an agile way, create new projects, fail faster, and then you don't need to plan for 1 or 2 years every time you do something new. What are the things you're trying to achieve? Maybe think about those, and we're always happy to come and have a discussion with us on how we can help you with those things. And with that, I'm ready to finish and take questions.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the insights. You can leave the slides open for a second. That doesn't matter. So yeah, because I think sometimes it's even nice to go back a little. A first question that we got was about the customization of the features. Can you maybe explain a little bit what the differences are, or how much you can customize the data fabric for data scientists, data like business intelligence users and so on? Just what the different what are the major differences and how far you can customize it, and maybe also a little bit, if you want to, what usually people or clients do in terms of customization.
Right. So this is really, it's a good idea that I kept the slides open, because I went to the,
exactly.
the right slide back again. This is where this grows with you part comes into play, right? Because not all of our customers will go ahead and say, we need all of these things that I showed here. We have a very large portfolio. And as you see, we touch on different points, but it's not always necessary. Not every customer will need to create API services. Or to start with those things. Not every customer will start with a data catalog and want to create a huge catalog and governance project around everything. So things can start in moderation. You can either talk about, first we want to integrate some sources. So we have complete flexibility in terms of our licensing model. So you can work with us first and say, yeah, we can use Talend in terms of data integration, for example, or maybe we can integrate some more people in our organization, like business analysts that will work with data preparation, or data stewards. And yes, we will be able to start only with that. So that's customization for you. And then later, a year later, you see this is a successful project, we may want to talk about how do you do governance? How do you do API services? How do you do big data? Things like that. But this can come later, or maybe it will not come at all.
So just for clarification, you suggest that usually it's more about setting the right foundation, and then depending on how projects are proceeding, scaling in different directions is still possible.
Yeah, sometimes exactly. the very first step is just to ingest a bunch of data, right? Very quickly, I want to get all this into a data warehouse and see later what comes.
A follow-up question that we got was in terms of data governance, what do you usually see as like the biggest concerns with clients, or like the biggest things people have to keep in mind when setting up their data governance structures?
Well, here, data governance is really a huge topic, and we might want to have a discussion all about that in separate, but
we actually do. But
yeah, that's true. So I may not be the best person to talk about this, but still, in general, the things that we are worried about when we talk about data governance is the ability, first of all, to know what comes from the lineage. So obviously, when we're talking about your data ecosystem, it's not just Talend and what we connect to. It could be dozens of systems that you have, and you need to know what is out there, and then connect those things with the business semantics, right? To know that you have the different systems, but what do they actually mean? And then again, have that lineage to say, okay, so I have data from ERP, and I have SAP, and I have Salesforce and other things, but how all those things come together? Where is someone actually operating or transforming that data? Because you might not even know that this is being processed somewhere. And then finally, what reports they appear, and then what does reports mean to my KPIs? Those are the key questions that you need to ask yourself. there's many layers in order to get that done right.
And the last question actually that I have would be that would be just to maybe once briefly run through the usual different steps when you integrate the data fabric. What are like the major key integration steps, and are there basically things to keep in mind when you usually set those up? If you could just maybe briefly run us through those as well, that would be very nice.
Yeah, I don't have the perfect slide for that, but let's try to do it imaginary without a perfect slide, right? So there are a lot of variations of what you can start with. The very first thing is just ingestion and collection of data. So it may be something that is completely hands-off. You just want to integrate Salesforce data into a data warehouse. That's something that requires almost no work. So we have a tool like Stitch that can do things like that. And then you start off there. It's very easy. It takes maybe 1 or 2 days until you can even put it in production, and then you see your data already appearing somewhere. But then you start to ask yourself, okay, I don't know, I just ingested all this data, I don't know anything about it. So maybe here you need a bit more, you need data quality. You need to profile your data, right? You need to understand what's in there. So at that point, you may also understand that you need to transform the data and clean it. So then things like Talent Studio or Pipeline Designer will come into play. If you're talking about scale of data that you maybe cannot run on a normal machine, you may want to think about big data, things like Spark. That's again, things like where Pipeline Designer and Talent Studio can also run on a Spark cluster, just in the same way, and help you process big data. So again, you see that where this is going, this is growing more and more depending on your need. Now, at some point, you may want human intervention, like I said, by business analysts or data stewards. That's where you can plug in those same data sets, because as I said, the data set is a shared backbone for everything. So if we have this imaginary Salesforce data that we've put on another target, let's say a data warehouse in the cloud, and you want somebody to clean that data, you want to have a campaign to clean it, and you need manual intervention. That's where you will use a tool for stewards, where they can view the data in a spreadsheet manner and have specific operations that need to take place, like merging records that are suspected duplicates and things like that, consolidating data. And the data preparation is more for the business analyst, where he wants to see the data again as a spreadsheet and do some transformations. Perhaps if we are talking about, again, Salesforce data, where you have your opportunities, your accounts, and you want to clean some of that up and provide some rules to detect some problems with the data and try to fix them and put it into a process.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that was a very nice elaboration, even without the slides. So thank you a lot for that. I think maybe a good hint at that point would also be that, of course, if you want to seek for further information, we still, as I pointed out earlier a couple of times, we still have our virtual booth where you would find more information about what Talent has to offer, and also, of course, contact information. So if you feel like you would want to seek, like I said, like further information, maybe about certain aspects that Ofer touched upon, and you think, okay, I would want to get in touch with other people from Talent, either with Ofer directly or with some of his colleagues. So please feel free to check it out, and there's lots of further information. And apart from that, of course, if there are other questions, feel free to either reach out to him or me directly, and I would then redirect it to you or to your colleagues. But for now, thank you very much for the insights, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you. I would be happy to answer any questions that will come my way.
Of course. Yeah, well, I will guide them then. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin.